My Little Puggy, Chapter 7. Written by Darthwill 3. Sunbeams were penetrating every nook and cranny of the barn's walls. The rooster sounded out his usual crow. It was morning time. Rainbow had had a surprisingly good night. She didn't let the Wonder Pug snoring or the thunder and lightning wake her up. Not even once. And the puppies never flinched at the noise either. She gave a big yawn, slowly opened her eyes, and looked at the vacant green shell. "Morning, Tank," she said quietly. In response, the tortoise popped his head out of his shell and yawned. Then, Rainbow looked to her left and cooed, "Morning, Wonder Pugs." Suddenly, her eyes went wide in shock. The spot where the Wonder Pug slept next to her was completely empty. "Oh no!" gasped Rainbow. "Not again! Tank, we gotta find them!" Tank immediately activated the helicopter hat on his shell and took off onto the barn supports. It was good to have some watchful eyes from above. "Spitfire!" Rainbow called out after searching through every interior of the haystacks. She looked behind a hay bale and cried, "Soren!" As she peered into one of the stables, she hollered, "Rapid fire!" After catching up with Tank on top and screamed through every hay lifter, she was on the brink of tears and screamed, "Fleetfoot!" Just then, she heard a series of very faint yips. Then, there was a series of chickens clucking and sheep baaing. By the sound's proximity, it was coming from outside. She looked down and found the barn doors to be open. By now, it was all too clear about who let the pugs out. "Applejack!" Rainbow hissed ominously. She raced out of the barn, with Tank at her back, and suddenly stopped. "Huh?" she began, utterly shocked. "What the?" She couldn't believe what she was actually seeing. Over at the hen house, Soren and Fleetfoot could be seen chasing chickens. Feathers were falling in all directions. The chickens were evidently not enjoying a running exercise of this sort. At the sheep pen, Rapid Fire and Spitfire were just running around and barking at numerous oohs. Whether the sheep were annoyed or just plain not amused, Rainbow couldn't tell. They just stood there. "Those pugs sure love to have fun, don't they?" Rainbow, a bit surprised at first, looked to her right. Applejack was standing next to her with the Apple family dog Winoa, clearly oblivious to her friend's stress. "Applejack!" she snapped. "Did you have to let the Wonder Pugs out of the barn?" Applejack's face turned to one of embarrassment. "Yeah, I did." "Without even waking me up first?" continued the temperamental blue Pegasus with the multicolored mane. "I was worried sick!" Mighty sorry about that, Rainbow." Applejack chuckled sheepishly. "Must have slipped my mind somewheres." She paused and took a cough, giving Rainbow the impression that this was a way to move on to a different topic. Her hunch proved correct. "Now, I owe you an explanation, right?" "Yup," answered a nearby big Macintosh. "Well," summarized Applejack, "y'all have seen what those puppies can do to make the chickens feel all riled up. Now, since they're pugs, I don't think they'd make pretty good sheepdogs. Bodies are too short for that kind of work." "Yeah, I think I get what you're saying here," said Rainbow. "Also," Applejack moved her head close to Rainbow's and placed a hoof next to her mouth to utter a whisper, "we don't want Winoa to get the wrong idea." Rainbow could see why Applejack mentioned that, and that it was scaring her, almost as much as Opal's actions from yesterday. Winoa was looking at the Wonder Pugs with envious eyes. She opened her mouth, showing gnashed teeth. She crouched herself to a hunting position, growling at her supposed competition. "Easy, girl," soothed Applejack, rubbing a hoof on Winoa's head Easy. Don't you worry none. They're just visiting. Rainbow let out a sigh of relief as Winoa's mood was set at ease. Applejack sure trained her dog to be obedient. "I'll handle those pugs for you, sis," volunteered Applebloom, who was running in between the sheep pen and the chicken coop. "I'll work 'em up, no sweat." Applebloom," said Applejack, unsure of the situation. "I don't know if that's such a good—" "Here, pug, 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 pug," called Applebloom. "Here, pug!" Suddenly, seconds after hearing her, the Wonder Pugs miraculously rushed over to Applebloom and knocked her to the ground, laying her with the usual licks for kissing. "Hey, stop!" chuckled Applebloom. "Put them tongues back where you found them. Scat!" While watching the whole scene from a distance, Rainbow Dash remembered the Wonder Pugs playing with Sweetie Belle yesterday. "I guess puppies are pretty good with kids," she told Applejack. "Yup," answered Big Mac. "Don't you think you ought to take these little critters to Fluttershy's?" asked Applejack. "She'll know what to do with them." After hearing those words, Rainbow Dash, the best flyer in all Equestria, the pony that represented the element of loyalty, lost her patience. "For the fourth and final time, no!" she yelled in close proximity of Applejack's face. "Out of almost all my best friends, Twilight, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and now you, Applejack, do none of you remember that Fluttershy has too many animals to take care of? Not to mention a way to be more assertive now? She'll probably say no in my face." "Aw, come on, Audie," soothed Applejack. "She ain't known for having a cold heart. You just gotta ask her somehow." "I wish I could, AJ," Rainbow moped heavily. "Fluttershy's the second to last pony I want to ask for puppy management." Applejack raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean, second to last? What? Don't you remember Derpy?" It took Applejack 2 seconds before she answered, "Oh, right." Every pony knew that Derpy Hooves, despite having a very good heart, was a cross-eyed Pegasus with an inescapable clumsiness. Anything she touched while on the job, she destroyed. Ever since that little mishap at Ponyville Town Hall, the mayor had requested that Derpy be kept under watch of the police, so that they would be ready to intervene in case of emergency. Trusting her with 4 pug puppies would be like switching a barrel of apple cider for nitroglycerin. "Listen, Rainbow Dash," said Applejack sternly. "Fluttershy is the best pony who can take care of all sorts of animals, big or small, mammal or reptile, flurry or feathery. I don't care what you say. If you want to find a home for those pups, she's the very pony you should take 'em to. No questions asked." Rainbow, taken aback from what Applejack had to say, lowered her head. "You're right," she sighed in defeat. Then she turned to her tortoise. "We might as well march the Wonder Pugs out of here, Tank." "Now, just a cotton-picking minute, partner," started Applejack. "You can't have them pugs leave without a little—" "Breakfast!" called out Granny Smith. Hearing that very word, the Wonder Pugs hopped off Applebloom and made their way to the cow which Granny Smith had brought out of the barn. Under the udder, there was a stool wide enough for all 4 puppies to hop on top of and suck the mammary glands. Delicious milk was waiting for them. Rainbow watched as the little pugs drank, and drank, and drank, and drank until they were full. She never saw them this thirsty before. "Yep," smiled Granny Smith. "That'll keep the little whippersnappers energized for a long journey." "Good luck with Fluttershy, Audie," said Applejack. "You're gonna need it, I reckon." "Thanks, AJ," replied Rainbow confidently, but she was feeling deeply nervous inside.